Hello, class, and thank you for joining me for week 6. This week was all about workplace assessments. And as you can see the prompt, we were asked to select two assessments, go over it. What do they measure? Is there a certification that needs to be had in order to administer these assessments? If so, what does that look like? What does it cost? Additionally, how reliable and what is the validity of these assessments? What does the research say and how is it backed by data? Furthermore, what we have as what we find most interesting or compelling about these assessments, and in opposition to that, what we have concerns about. So we have here the DISC model. This is the About Everything DISC Theory and Research by Wiley. As you can see, the model already is a four quadrant model, DICS. This stands for dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. So this is a adaptive, personalized assessment that looks at behavior and is specifically your preferences and tendencies. After finding where you lean in on this model or this assessment, it gives you strategies to improve in areas like self-awareness, social relationships, and communication, and all this within the workplace. It really drives that more professionality, or being able to identify where you are, and, and move forward, and I guess grow. For this assessment, you don't need to be certified. It's a uh you know it's an assessment that they say is pretty easy and, well, simplified or simplistic. And after you do the assessment, you'll actually I'd be able to identify what your responses is. As far as the cost for disc, it's about like $3,000. Uh, yeah, and that sounds like a pretty penny because some of these other models are free. So if it's for self improvement, it's an investment. And this moving into it, this is one of the models that has probably like the most blatant like research that supports this assessment. The data really backs the validity and um, the reliability. So how reliable, how consistent is the data, like showcasing that these are hitting the marks, as well as the validity, like how accurate it is. So continuously, keeps moving forward, and then it keeps hitting the same place. So it's showing that this is a really strong assessment tool used in the workplace. What I find interesting about this model is that, well, for me personally, I didn't really know this model very well. It's not one of the ones that I've studied or really seen. A lot of the other models I've seen and worked with. So this was pretty interesting to learn a little bit more about. As far as the application, I think that it being very straightforward is something that a lot of professionals could use for like all levels of their workforce, especially if it's an organization that's leading these assessments. Then having some sort of idea and a simplistic version of an assessment to give to all levels can really help you and your employees identify some of their strengths. And then from there, you can use that assessment, and all will know. And then you can maybe like determine best fits, or maybe even like start leading like projects with some of these behaviors, and even just having growth. But on the same coin of that, this because this is a simplistic and just a four quadrant model. One of the things that we read earlier this week was something about like being pigeonholed because of stereotypical, like, you know cookie cutter models like this, where if you are domineering and stuff like that, you might actually lose out on opportunities, because they might think, oh, if we're going to do a project, we might need somebody that's more uh and I think if I can remember, I think it was something about like if we wanted and for sales we want something that's more like extroverted instead of introverted. So just because you land in like one of these quadrants or like these identifiers, um it could actually like work against you. So those are the concerns with these kind of assessments and these models. This one being a four quadrant, it could really like that's 25% of the whole model is in one of these quadrants. So it just could be, it could just be detrimental to like progress in a way. But I suspect based off of it being having high like reliability and validity in the research, this is a strong model that is probably used in a lot of places. So to move on to the next model, we have, here's this one. We have Connected Leadership Institute. Here, this is a straightforward. Well, it's not straightforward actually. So this one actually has a lot going on in it. Let me see if I can get there. Yeah, right here. So this assessment actually has 9 styles, archiving styles, and 7 assessments, and it's saying it's 100% scientifically developed. I believe it was like over like 30 years of work that's gone into this model, and this model is really about like leadership and taking on a stance. Um, in the name connective leadership. Um, yeah, so pretty much this assessment is a self-report, on a Likert scale. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, most to least kind of assessment. And because they have 9 different styles and 7 different assessments, there's a variety of different assessments you can take in order to like really seek out some sort of outcome that you're looking for to like examine or determine. So this one, unlike the last one, the disc has a lot of different like angles you can go in order to like take an assessment to make some sort of determination. But overall, um, individuals, again, behavioral preferences, identifying um, stuff like your intrinsic competitiveness, power, collaboration, contributory, vicarious, personnel, social. Can you see it? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So pretty much these are the 9 feathered points. Okay. So you do need to have somebody as a certified professional to like determine what the results are, to analyze your responses, and then it gets sent back to you in a report. Um, I do find that it was really interesting, and just to go over this real quick, that one, the cost was a pretty penny. It was about like $3,000 for a student, and then like 14 for a recertification. But then also, when you take this exam, you can take it without a supervised connective leader institute certified associate, but you'll still receive the receive stuff. And then furthermore, there aren't really days for the seminars. So they have October 7th and 10th, but they don't have the year. So I'm gonna make the assumption that it's for this year. I did try to register, but it didn't allow me to. And the other 2 years are in 2020. So that was very alarming. So just to go into like, I guess, a concern, that was pretty alarming. And additionally, because it was in 2020, one thing that I did note is that it was updated this year, so 2025. Um, yeah, but beyond that, I found this interesting because they have so many different models. I feel like this is a strong initiative for like those that are pursuing like leadership roles. And I know that this model really talked about a lot of uh, strengthening leadership within like diversities, and then a lot of independence, globally. So I think this was an interesting one. Again, the concern was more so about those that are actually taking the assessments based off of um, a- a- taking those assessments additionally to those that are getting certified in the year gap. And then also, the research says that it's, you know, 100% scientifically developed, but I didn't see the numbers. I didn't see the data report. So take it for a grain of salt. And yeah, so these are the two assessments. I am a fan of the five model, Ocean, and I also know Myers Briggs. Um, those are my two favorite, but I decided to like look at these additional models. So for those that review my video, please let me know if you have any thoughts about these two models or about my work here. If you have any questions, you want to pose anything, please feel free. I would love to have a dialogue and just continue the practice on um, these discussions. Thank you so much. My name is Justin. I hope you have a good night.